Guten Abend, bonsoir, buonasera, hola. You guys thought I've forgotten my languages? Come on, man. Just because I've been away for a little while, you guys think that I don't know my greetings in all the different European slangs? Come on, get out of here. I'm a professional by now. As I take a sip of tea before saying hello. Hello, of course, as well. How can we forget the English? You know what I mean? Welcome to Eurostars, another jam-packed episode of Eurostars. We have got so much to get through. You already know the house rules. Smash the likes on your way in. Subscribe if you unfortunately haven't. Unfortunately for you guys, because you're missing out on some mad, great content. To talk all things European football with me, of course, I've got my co-host with me, who's I don't know, man, who's been chatting so much on Twitter, man. Like today, I was looking at his tweets, yeah, and he's talking about Bellingham and Rice and all of these kind of things, man. But we don't want to really get into Arsenal too much. But how you been, bro?
Yeah, man, I've been good. Just having fun, like all we seem to be doing right now. You know, having a good time on a personal level, on a football level. So yeah, things are going well. As I say, alhamdulillah, right? So everything's going well. So yeah, now listen, I've been enjoying the football's been good. Even today, enjoying some good football again. So yeah, man, when there's good football, there's good people to talk to. What more can we ask for?
100%, man, 100%. Jonas Lanau says Man United title charge from weekend to midweek. Of course, then we have to come to Aaron. Aaron, man, what's happening, man? How you doing? Disappointing result, but my God, it could have been so much worse. It should have been so much worse. Just your general thoughts on that game that you just witnessed.
Yeah, very, very intense. Very intense game.
It looked intense. It looked like they play 100 miles per hour. Made you like, I don't know. They do that. They do that shit, don't they? Sometimes.
I got tired watching the game. It was one of those where it was like a basketball game, man. It was from one end to the other in like 30 seconds, especially in the second half. Disappointed? I wouldn't say so. I think I would rather say pleased because the team managed to fight back and pull it back to 2-0. But obviously disappointed not to get the win because that first half, actually, we did it to ourselves, really. Do you know what I mean? We did it to ourselves with that first half performance, which wasn't good at all. But yeah, Leeds, I actually underestimated Leeds, you know. I thought that they would actually down tools because Jesse Marsch got sacked. And when I saw that the three guys that took over for the next two games, they were appointed, I was like, perfect opportunity to go and, you know, put maybe 3 or 4 past them. But listen, they came to Old Trafford. They weren't afraid. They were brave. So credit to Leeds, man. You got to give it to them. And that Nyoto guy, oh my goodness.
My God.
What?
There's no way he's staying at Leeds beyond this season.
I'll give him one more season and he's gone.
Probably
he's too good.
Season.
He's too good for Leeds. Way too good.
And he's come from Italy, right?
Yes.
No, Switzerland.
From FC Zurich. From FC Zurich, yeah. He's Italian international, but he comes from Zurich. So, yeah, very direct. As soon as he gets the ball, he knows exactly what he wants to do. And I actually enjoyed watching him play, to be honest, even though he plays for our rivals. So, yeah, I'd say pleased with the result.
And obviously, before the game and in the last 24 hours, the big news, and it's news. There's no facts behind it. There's nothing happened really. Just speculation, just like there is with the Liverpool takeover bid or bids or interest. It seems like there's been muted interest in Man United from Middle East as well, namely Qatar. I know you and my brother Saeed done a little stream that had me in stitches yesterday. If you guys haven't gone, check that out, man. These mans are talking fluent Arabic and exchanging pleasantries and, you know what I mean, reading half the Quran, man. You know what I mean, live on stream. These guys were taking the piss, man. I tell you, Saeed was I don't know what Saeed was wearing, man. I need to have words with him, man, because I call him a friend and, like, people ask me about him. Is he all right and that? And, you know what I mean? I need to look after that brother, man. I need to speech him up a little bit, man. Tell him to calma. But Aaron was joining in the hype as well, I see. But look, of course, there's something to be excited about. Of course, when you're in a position like you guys are that hate your owners so much, just like pretty much Liverpool fans hate their owners so much as well. Anything new is exciting, and especially if it's someone like the people that seem to be involved in the purchase of you guys, because these guys are massive, and when they take over something, they take over and do things in a big way. So naturally, you're going to be excited, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I was learning Arabic. When the news broke, that there is interest, and that there could be a potential takeover. Obviously, the first reaction was, wow, over the moon. As a fan, obviously, you want to see your owners, lead the club in the right way. I know there's not a specific blueprint to run a club the right way, but you just want to see owners that care and that want to see the club go forward. I think over the last, 17 years, going on 18 now since the Glazers took over.
Wow.
It wasn't the best period. And, I'm not going to get into the details of how much they spend or didn't spend, how much they took out. I think everybody knows the situation. But it's just good to see that, someone else potentially might take the club over and invest and, genuinely wanting the club to do well. And it's just nice to hear, man. So, yeah, but like you said, whether that's actually going to happen, that's another story, because, yesterday I actually learned a lot of stuff about how a club is being taken over. What are the steps if you want to take over a club? How do you pay off a debt? How do you wire the money to, the ex-owners, and how do you actually sell the club? So I learned a lot of stuff, and I realized that these things take time. So it's not going to happen over 2-3 weeks. It's not going to happen over 2-3 months. It might take 5 or 6. So listen, as a United fan, I can only be patient, look at what happens, how it develops. If it happens in the end, I'll be over the moon.
I can imagine 100%. It's been a rocky ride under the Glazers, and I can imagine you guys being fed up with them. And Dennis the Great says, if I speak about Ancelotti, it's a long day. We will get onto Ancelotti chat, my friend. We will get onto Ancelotti. But yeah, man, Qatar looking to take over. I don't know. I don't think personally Qatar will buy Man United. That's just my opinion. I think you will end up being bought by another American consortium, or most probably Jim Ratcliffe's crew. But we see, man. We see how it goes. But yeah, on the back of that, disappointing draw. But big up Leeds, man. I say, man, that was quite entertaining from their aspect. We've got Yak making his debut as well on Eurostars. Yak is a Liverpool fan first and foremost, but takes a firm family interest in Marseille and Roma, and that got me really excited, because we like the European football side of things, and this Yak is big on Marseille and Roma. Yak, first and foremost, welcome, man. How you doing?
Thank you very much for having me, man. I'm doing really well. It's been a good week of football. I've had a lot of dramas on the Anfield pitch, and my internet's been down, the heating's been broken. It's been dramas all week. But talking about European football is the best therapy session available. So I'm so happy to be here, man. Especially
when we don't have to talk about Liverpool and we can talk about other, European football. It broadens our horizons, it relaxes us, it calms us down. Of course, I mentioned Marseille, and we probably can get straight into it, because Marseille were involved in probably one of the biggest. Is it a derby? How do you Marseille versus
it's the biggest for. Well, saying this is probably PSG might sort of give it a more snobby look and say, no. But for Marseille fans, it's the big one. This is like working class versus middle class, City versus City. This is big.
What's the equivalent? What's the equivalent of a PSG versus Marseille in Premier League terms?
If Manchester and London only had one club each, I think that would be like that, basically.
Right.
It's the two biggest fan bases, probably the two biggest sets of the biggest sort of ultra culture, if you want to call it that.
Passionate fan bases. It's
one. If you could go to one, I'd go to one. That's top of my bucket list. That 100%. I've only heard
Wow.
amazing things. A little bit dangerous, but you know, that's all part of the fun.
Hey, listen, that's part of the fun, man. That's part of the fun. You know what I mean? The risk involved. But looks like they turned over PSG, man. Marseille are one of those like giants. What's the word?
Sleeping giants.
Sleeping giants. Like I look at them a bit like Newcastle in terms of the passionate fan base, a huge fan base, just waiting to be ignited.
That's a good example, actually. I think Newcastle's bang on.
Yeah, I mean, look, Newcastle. I remember Newcastle. Well, we all remember Newcastle had some stars back in the day, and from what I can remember, Marseille used to have some massive stars. Of course, Newcastle. Another link to Newcastle. Chris Waddle, who used to play for Marseille.
Yes, legend.
So an absolute legend of the game. Bilal was way too young. He's probably thinking, yo, these people are testing my
Chris,
knowledge.
what? Chris,
yeah, exactly.
what?
That's what I'm saying. But you know what I mean? When you're on Eurostars, you got to rise, bro. I'm telling you, man, you're learning new things every day.
I learn about that Roman Empire football. Don't worry.
Abdi Pele played for Marseille. Jean-Pierre Papin, as Joseph reminds me, bruv. Big club, man. Big club.
For those who don't know, Abdi Pele, he's the father of Jordan and Andre Ayew.
So. Ayew. Look at the
Ghanaian tweets during the World Cup about him and Ayew family, man. It's too funny.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, they're just absolutely like, family politics.
Look at these names coming back. Vola, Alan Boxic as well.
You don't want to mention Robert Pires, my legend. You don't want to mention my legend.
Okay. Robert Pires as well, more recent times, yeah?
Of course.
So that's what I'm saying. Marseille, Didier Drogba. Now we're coming to the, because Marseille...
Frank Ribery.
I think we even signed Nasri from them, right? Nasri was at Marseille.
Yes.
Young Desailly. Yo, we're talking Marseille. So historically, some would say Marseille probably or as big as PSG. Would you say
European trophies as well? So
it's a bigger club, man.
What's the situation? What is the situation with the trophy count with the Marseille and PSG?
I think on titles, I think PSG are way and beyond now. I think, but in European terms, it's not even close. Not even close.
Oh wow!
I saw something interesting about I was going through this recently, like Liga and champions. Because they have quite a few teams who have quite a few champions, like Saint Etienne, one of those. Lyon obviously had their period where I don't know if Lyon have more than PSG or level, right? In terms of league titles, it might be.
It would be between them two, 100%.
Yeah, in terms of how close it is. So there's so many big teams in France. It's one of those ones where it's like they all kind of feel like they're at the same level. Obviously, PSG taking it to another stratosphere with the money they have and the players they've been able to buy. But the Marseille, the Lyon, Saint Etienne. All of these sort of clubs, you look at them, you're like, there's so much potential there. But I don't know with French football, why it's not really gone on to that next level, whether it's the government, investment, etc. But we see how many players they produce, from France year in, year out. Even I remember watching AFCON recently when Comoros beat Ghana, and most of their players were playing second division, third division of French football, but they were absolute ballers. Guys like obviously we'll get onto like the transfers of Unai who were playing Angers and how he lit up the World Cup. Now he's at Marseille. Like it's just a country littered with incredible talent. So I don't know what it will take maybe to elevate them in the future. I don't know, Yak, what you think about that, but there's something there, 100%.
Yeah, I think it's really weird. I think for different reasons, Serie A is in the same boat as that. I think, but with Liga and Liga NOS, the Portuguese league, what I find so baffling is because when you watch it, it is the closest in terms of entertainment, in my opinion, obviously, to the Prem. It's really fast paced. It's very physical. There's a lot of talent. So like, no matter what of the game you're interested in, whether it's like the big names like PSG or whatever, whether it's the young talent in some of the smaller teams that have got really good academies, whether it's just attacking football, loads of really quick, strong technical players. It's a very rounded league. So it's really weird that it's not that popular. And I think we do feed into this sort of Prem superiority. I mean, for good reason, because of the money.
The money.
It's
the money.
very, 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 very different. But it does surprise me that more people don't sort of get into it. And I mean, you can even throw like the Bundesliga in there. Like, there's so many storylines, there's so much history, so many players, so many different. It's way more up and down than people think as well. And I mean, we'll get onto a couple of the smaller teams that are doing really well in France. But yeah, I don't know how to get out of it, but it really baffles me that there's not more interest in them sort of leagues.
100%. Yeah.
100%,
I mean, look. Sorry, go on, Aaron.
Yeah, no, I agree.
We all said 100%, so we all agree. Like, we all literally said 100%. So
yeah, I agree with Yak, because in the Premier League, people have the tendency to say, well, German league, or that's a farmers league, and the French league, or that's a farmers league. But if you look at the history of the best players in the Premier League, they have all been foreign imports. Do you know what I mean? And you look at whether it's today or back in the day, you look at the Hazards of this world. Hazard came from Lille, Alexis Sanchez came from abroad. Gundogan, De Bruyne, they all came from abroad. Like, they're not scrubs. Like, they have some sort of quality, which proves that those countries have the ability to, produce top talent. Mesut Ozil came from Germany. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of talent in these leagues. It's just a question of scouting properly, and you can bring them to the Premier League, and they can be a success as well. So I think I agree with Yak. More people should, instead of just recycling the old cliche, take some time, sit down, watch it differently, and you might actually appreciate it.
100%. We I guess a good time to start is, let's look at tonight's lineups and game. Sorry, let me just read that. Excuse me, I've still, as you guys know, I've been a little unwell. I've still got that little cough going. Where's that super chat gone? Let me just quickly read out this super chat. JJ Ash sends in a super chat with the first one. I said, Salam alaikum, Jawai, salam, my bro. He goes, big up my Arab peoples. Soon we will own all the top 6. Yes, bro, the way it's going. You know what I mean? Making big moves, man, from the Middle East, man. Big up yourself, Ash, man. Appreciate the support. But yeah, man. Here we go. Tonight's game. Let me try zoom in on this one. It looks like PSG went strong, man. But you tell me about the Marseille team. Is that pretty much strong as well? First team strength?
On opinion, you might swap a couple over, but it's pretty much there. You could argue like Rongier playing centre back. He's not a centre back, but I'd play him there. Kolasinac.
So straight away to me, straight away we know Kolasinac. Obviously, Billa will know. We know Chancel Mbemba. He's the one that was Newcastle, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we know. Where do we know Veretout from? He was in the
Aston Villa.
Aston Villa. Was he not Villa? You know, in Serie A as well at one point.
Fiorentina.
Yes, last season.
Yeah, Fiorentina, right?
And Roma as well. Yeah.
And Roma, yeah.
Yeah, and Roma, exactly. I think in 2 clubs. Because I was getting him. You remember Kevin Strootman as well?
We know Guendouzi. We know Cengiz Under was come from Roma, didn't he?
Played at Leicester for a bit.
Leicester,
And of course, the big name, the star, Alexis Sanchez himself. How old is he now? What the hell? And how's he performing
but he's
now?
not playing like it. This season, when we signed him, I was a little bit like, can we stop just signing old Prem players? Can we like just make it a little bit more interesting for me as an English person, in it? Like, I've watched these guys for years. Like, I want to see you all playing for my second team. And like, it's lucky I kind of like Arsenal, because we're basically 2015 Arsenal, 2017 Arsenal. But Sanchez has been playing so well this season. He looks back at that sort of Arsenal level, not in physical terms, but in trickery, and he's got that spice back. It's so good to see, man.
And also you've managed by the great Igor Tudor, centre back for a legend for Croatia. Did he manage in Italy, guys?
Yes, it was. Was it Torino? No, it wasn't Torino.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but he's come from
Hellas Verona.
Hellas Verona. And of course, everyone wants to talk about Yak Unahi, the big signing after the World Cup. Wow, what a coup.
Scored on his debut for us as well the other day.
So how has that come about? Because there must have been massive interest in him, loads of clubs in him. Is it the right move for Unahi to stay in France and then just have another season at a higher level, of course, than where he was? but not too much of a higher jump, and then go to another a league?
I think so. I think if I know Anahi was offered to Prem clubs for around 20 million a bit earlier in the window. And I think that would have been too much of a jump because he's not the biggest player. He's not the most imposing. I think he has kind of actually been bought. If you see the two sort of attacking midfield positions there, he's going to be playing that position a little bit more. And then Guendouzi can move back into midfield. So he is a dribbler, a sort of, in basketball, you'd call him a bit of a triple threat player. You sort of put the ball at his feet and then he can go at any way. I don't know if he'd suit the Prem so much right now, but for 8 million, I'm so shocked someone didn't take the punt. 8 million is chump change to a Prem team. So I'm so surprised.
It would have been 20 million for a Prem team. We've got to keep it real.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I got a question just before we move on to Marseille. I just want to know your thoughts on Nuno Tavares. Obviously, Arsenal, Marseille. Every time I watch him, like, he's playing a different position. I've seen a left wing back, saw him right wing the other day. Like, for me, I still think raw talent-wise and that chaos factor, I know we like saying it with the likes of Darwin Núñez, but Nuno is one of the craziest players I've ever watched. Like, when he first came to, I was thinking he's either really good or really bad. So I don't know what you think about him, long-term position. Maybe if Marseille actually want to keep him, what do you think about him?
We want to keep him. I think we're fully aware that we wouldn't be able to afford him permanently. So it would have to be another loan. But I think Arteta would probably also see that in his best interest. Going to be playing Champions League football again next season. He does play quite a bit, plays in different positions, like you said. So he's getting a good education. I really, really like him. Like, really like him. I think if you can get him to buy in to the more defensive side, if you are going to play a back four at Arsenal, you've got such a player on your hands, such a weapon. And the thing is, as well, is like he could definitely play on the wing. If he comes back to the Arsenal squad, and I don't know, you've got Zinchenko playing left back, you can get away with having a left-footed winger on that side, I think. And it's difficult. Obviously, because I want him to stay at Marseille.
Yeah.
But if he went back to Arsenal, I think he could have a pretty good season next season. I will add on to that. I can definitely see why Arsenal sent him out on loan. There's a few mistakes in him that you just think, like, he forgot.
He's erratic. He's erratic. I think that's the word to describe him. He's erratic. Of course, we welcome Mo.
Sorry for being late. Apologies for being late.
It's not a problem. It's not a problem. I know you're a very, very busy man, a man in demand, but you're here now, and that's the main thing. We're going to get stuck into all things Serie A as well, of course. I know you want to speak about a certain derby that took place. So you've had another good week. But I wanted to stay in France very quickly and finish up on a sort of, I guess, Marseille doing the job in the cup. But in the league, it looks like Paris Saint-Germain, right? Still leading the way, but not looking great, Bilal. What do you think? Bit inconsistent. Of course, it's going to happen. No Neymar, no, what's his name? Mbappe, young Hugo. How do you say his name? Ekitike?
Ekitike, yeah. Ekitike.
He got a chance against Toulouse, who not a bad side themselves. They stay on top with a narrow 2-1. Was it 2-1 win? 2-1 win.
Yeah, must be.
PSG coming up to Champions League, of course. How are they setting? How are they looking?
For me, with PSG, it's the same old. Like, I have my doubts about them, but then again, when we look at the Champions League as a whole this year, there's not really a strong team apart from Napoli in terms of form. You're looking at the Napolis, maybe a Benfica. Everyone else, I'm not too sure. Now we don't know Man City, how they're going to be affected, obviously, with what's happening with them. PSG and Bayern Munich, really and truly, should be, in my opinion, whoever wins that game should be the favourite to win the competition. But when you actually watch these two teams play, and obviously talking about PSG right now, there's just so many question marks. You look at that defence.
Look at that defence. I was going to say, look at this defence. I mean, guys, anyone else feel free to weigh in. I'm looking at that defence, right? And I'm just not convinced. Even that midfield, I'm just not convinced, guys.
They have so many injuries, though, that you get it's so many injuries, and also they're very inconsistent in terms of their lineup. I doubt that they had 2 consecutive games with the same lineup throughout the whole season. It's you cannot, as a coach, you cannot ask a coach to play consistent football when he doesn't have his full squad ever fit. Like Danilo Pereira is a makeshift center back. He's not a center back, right? He wanted to play 3 in the back. He doesn't have enough center backs. Now Neymar and Mbappe are out. They're going to come back in the Champions League. Do they play Mbappe up top or Neymar and Messi back? It's too many questions of this PSG team in terms of lineups. And that's what we see. They are not consistent because of the lineup, not because of the coach, not because of the players. I think they have the squad to win the Champions League. It's just so many injuries. Verratti comes back 2 weeks, out. That's unacceptable, to be honest.
Guys, I sense Mo have been a bit sympathetic towards PSG. I've got zero sympathy with the club.
I have a question for Mo. I've got a question for Mo because Skriniar obviously is going to PSG now, stripped of the captaincy of Inter. And it was only 20 million apparently to get him out of Inter for January. And obviously they changed the Champions League rules a few years ago, right? So he could have played for PSG in the Champions League and helped them. I don't know. Is there something going on in PSG that I'm missing, that this rich club cannot spend 20 million just to bring in a Skriniar to try and bolster their chances of getting Champions League victory this season? I don't know what you think about that, man.
I think actually it's not only PSG, because the latest report is that they offered 50 million plus Danilo Pereira to get him in January. But Inter said Danilo Pereira, which echoes what Grizz is saying, is not a center back and is too short of a notice for us to look for a center back. So Inter said, we're okay with not making the 15 million. We'll keep until the end of the season and then you can take him on free. And Skriniar was on board because he's going to get that 20 million as a signing bonus.
Fair enough. Yeah, exactly. On his side, he's winning.
We're going to get onto Inter Milan and Skriniar chat and everyone else chat. But PSG, yeah, man, there's no sympathy from me, guys. If anyone else is feeling sympathy for PSG, you guys are cracked as well. I'm sorry. I'm cussing you. Like,
no, I want them to lose to Bayern Munich. Just to be fair, I want them to lose.
Yeah, they're one of them clubs, man. Get out of here. No sympathy.
I will be there supporting PSG. I'm sorry.
I 100% agree with Grizz. Yeah. I have absolute zero sympathy with PSG. We all know this saying. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the same result. These guys have been trying to build super teams for a decade now, since they got taken over by their new owners. New owners at the time. They tried the whole superstar approach. Ibrahimovic, Thiago Motta, Thiago Silva, Maxwell. They tried it all. It never worked in terms of the Champions League, because we all know that their big goal is to win the Champions League.
Of course.
It never worked. So I'm saying, with the money you have, try a different approach. You've got youngsters in your team like Ekatike, who seems like a really good player. If you can develop him properly under a good manager who knows how to work with youth, why not, man?
But this is it. Look, check this out.
This whole approach of Messi, Mbappe, you're not going to win the Champions League this season. I'm sorry.
Look at the names. But look at the names. Umzizi makes a brilliant point. Look at the players that they should have signed, could have signed, right? The likes of Fofana, Badashile, Saliba, Konate, and yet they're going out and buying. No disrespect to Skriniar, and of course Mo's going to rate him like that. I think he's a good centre back. I think he's more suited to the Premier League. I think he'd be more suited to a Premier League. But he's not. I don't think he's as good as some of those names. I don't think. They've gone for Ramos.
Better than them, fine.
No, Badashile for me is one of the best young centre backs. He's not better than Konate.
Yeah, Konate is the same, but these are young. These guys are experienced. But besides the point, I see your point. PSG said we're not investing in the future. We're just gonna go sign Neymar for 220 million. We're gonna sign Mbappe for 220 million, and that's it. And then Messi, we're gonna give him 30 million a year. Picking up Sergio Ramos after Real Madrid. This is what they wanted to do, and I don't care. In the mud they go, to be honest. If they lose in the round of 16, that's what I want.
There's actually, Grizz, the comment that you just put there, yeah, I actually have a whole list of players that used to be at the PSG academy that they let go. And ultimately, these players went to other teams and had success.
Reel off some.
Kingsley Coman, Matteo Guendouzi, Moussa Dembele, and I'm talking about the striker that used to be at Fulham. Otson Edouard, who's at Palace right now. Yusuf Mulumbo, Mamadou Sakho, who ended up staying, of course, Christopher Nkunku, Yassin Adli, David Ngog, Gabriel Obertan,
legend there, David Ngog, Liverpool legend. Respect
Nicholas
his name.
Anelka, Patrice Evra. So many players that they let go because they just don't put their trust in the youth. And I just don't get it. Someone like Kingsley Coman, look at Bayern Munich, Xavi Simons now, who's at PSV, who's shelling it over there.
They got a buyback though. They got a buyback. They can get him back.
Yeah, but I heard that because Ruud van Nistelrooy said that they're working on giving Xavi Simons a new contract so that the buyback clause disappears and that they've got a say over what happens with Xavi next. So, and I think that's very smart, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think PSG accept that with Campos. There's no way. I don't see how they do that, especially the way Xavi Simons have been playing. If they do that, then yeah, khalas, forget about PSG. Finish. Let's finish with them.
Xavi Simons has been brilliant, actually.
Top talent.
Been really good. He's been really good. Impressive. Very impressive.
What
That's what I'm
happens
saying.
to world football, Grizz, if PSG wins the Champions League?
Why?
I can't see it, so I don't even want to comment on it.
At what point is PSG considered a failure? Because I see a lot online, obviously, with the whole takeovers of potentially Spurs, Liverpool, or United, and they've spent a lot of money, which is what a lot of fans want, of course. But what have they actually done? They haven't actually.
Well, there is
achieved
right.
anything.
They broke the transfer market, man. Come on, dude.
Yeah,
That's
but
the game,
there's
man.
one thing they did. Yeah, the one thing they did that we do not realize is that PSG globally have gone 10 times bigger than what they were in the 2000s, and that's what the owners are looking for. They're looking for jerseys and shirts to be sold everywhere in the world. It happened. Buying Neymar.
Exactly. I was just going to say the best way to do that is buy the biggest names, and they've bought the 3 biggest names of the last decade, at least, or sorry, the next decade and the last decade. So Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe. So they've got a stranglehold. They've got a stranglehold on the best jerseys, probably the most popular jerseys in world football. I'd say. Have I missed anyone?
Yeah, no, but to be
in terms
honest,
of fashion, everyone wants.
Do they care about winning trophies? I don't think so.
Champions League. So
yes,
now you're coming. I think you're coming with the Man City fans argument now. Now that I'm pretty certain Man City's owners are very similar in terms of making the Man City brand grow around the world, right? In terms of revenue, shirts, etc., etc. We're not going to go into the other aspect of things, right? Let's just talk about on face value as opposed to digging deep. We've got investigations to dig deep for that kind of shit, yeah. But ultimately, these owners, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Correct me if you guys are owners of these clubs and you're paying bucks. Yeah, you want to be selling shirts like Mo says, but ultimately you want to rule Europe. That's why you're taking over a sporting institution. Yeah, you're taking over the business side. Yeah, you're going to expand the business side, but ultimately you want to be known as champions of Europe.
What I would say to that is PSG didn't just they don't need to rule Europe. What they did, they ruled the World Cup. They ruled the world. And this is the whole point for me of them buying PSG is to get to that World Cup, have the Messi, Neymar, Mbappe. They actually got the final they probably wanted in terms of Messi versus Mbappe. And then now I'm not surprised. I know it's different groups and people saying the Qataris obviously want to come into Man United, Liverpool, Tottenham, etc. But I wouldn't be surprised if they sell the team, right? They sell PSG. They're having issues with the stadium in terms of actually trying to own the stadium properly. There's a lot of things there where I feel like they brought PSG in the first place just to obviously get a gateway into Europe. They had, obviously, we can see in the super chat here, 14 billions, whatever, with the French government. We don't need to get into that too much. But really and truly, I think they've achieved their aims. And if they leave PSG now without even getting the Champions League trophy, I don't think that's a big deal to them.
No, it's a failure. I'm with Yak. I think that's a failure.
Yeah, it's a failure from a fan's perspective.
From a fans, but for them as the owners, from the fans, yes, it's a failure. But from the owners, surely it's not.
I think they want a bit of both, to be honest. I think they do want to rule Europe, but I think in the first instance, I agree with Mo. I think the aim was to grow the brand globally and to gain more fans by, for example, like Grizz said, buying the best players in the world, known players as well, partnering up with Jordan, opening up stores all over the world. I think they got 3 in France, they got 4 in Japan, they've got 3 in Qatar. So do you know what I mean? Yeah, so it's ridiculous. So I think it's a bit of both. I think they got 1 in Los Angeles as well, if I'm not wrong. They got stores all over the place, to be honest. So clearly they want to grow the brand as much as possible for people to know. And I think, for example, in America, they just have to see the Jordan logo and go, "Oh, a Jordan? Yeah, I'm gonna buy that." So they might not even know who or what PSG is. They do know who Mbappe is and Neymar and Messi. So, and to them, that's enough to be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna support this team." So yeah, I think it's a bit of both. But in terms of ruling Europe, they failed massively.
Hearty Momo with a super chat. Appreciate the support. He says, I don't take PSG seriously in football. The only reason why Qatar owned them was because of the World Cup bid in 2010, plus 14 billion weapons from France. Look, it is what it is. Yeah, exactly. It's one of them ones, man. Yeah, 100%. It's best time to move on. But it's always a good time to ask for likes. Nearly 40 minutes in, I haven't once requested likes because I thought you guys already know the house rules and shit. But looking at the ratio, it's appalling. You guys still need prompting. It's mad. Like, you guys are veterans now. We've been going over a year now on this channel, and you still want guidance from me about likes. Come on, people, man. Get out of here, man. Do your thing, man. We're going to move on to Bundesliga. Aaron. Wow. I didn't know it was this close. What is going on? Normally we're like, Bayern have won it already, and we're just looking at them to settle down in Champions League and see if they can get past certain stages and whatnot. Yo, we're looking at 6 points separating the top 6. Bayern are not having it their own way. Obviously, they haven't lost in their last 6, but those 3 draws in the middle set them back. And the talk of the town, Union Berlin, bro. Where's this come from?
I am absolutely loving the fact that the Bundesliga is open again. It's been such a long time that I've looked forward to this. I'm enjoying watching the Bundesliga again. It reminds me of the old days of when I used to live there, and teams like Schalke used to be top of the league, and they used to battle it out with teams like Hamburg and Dortmund. And do you know what I mean? It's really nice to see the Bundesliga open again. I grew up not supporting Bayern Munich, but they were the team that were the most pleasing to the eye. But I can't lie to you.
Hollywood. They're the Hollywood, aren't they? They're exactly. FC Hollywood, isn't it?
FC Hollywood. But I would like to see Union Berlin do a madness this season. Honestly, the fans deserve it. The owners deserve it. The players deserve it. It's such a shame that this the Isco deal didn't go through, man. Oh my! If they would have signed Isco, I honestly would have put money down on them to win the league, because that would have been the game changer. Honestly, Union Berlin. I think I managed to catch their first full game against Hertha Berlin in a derby. They absolutely destroyed Hertha Berlin. The fans didn't know what to think. They were like, because you've got to know, for those who don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
Hertha Berlin and Union Berlin. Union are like the little brother. Hertha have always been the biggest team out of the two. And for Union Berlin to go to the Olympiastadion and absolutely crush Hertha Berlin, that was huge. And like you said, Bayern Munich with the 3 draws, it set them back. Obviously, they won their last game against Wolfsburg, but listen, it's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough, and I'm just trying to look through the schedule now. The game that I'm looking forward to is on the 26th of February on a Sunday at 4:30, because Bayern are facing Union, so that could be the title decider. Right.
I'm not gonna look. You know me, I'm real. Yeah, I think I know my football around Europe. All right, I'd like to think I keep abreast of all news and lineups and players. I don't know what's going on here. I'm gonna be honest. After giving myself the big build-up, I don't know this team, bro. Like, I don't know Yak, Bilal, Mo, anyone else.
I watched them twice. They just play.
This is mad. I don't know one player. The only name
in this lineup that you might recognize is Khedira, who's the brother of Sami Khedira. So,
wallahi, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say the only name I know is Khedira, and that probably is a relative of the Khedira of Real Madrid, because that's the only one I know.
That's the only one you need to know, yeah. And he's actually had a great season so far. He's been really good in midfield. Same position as his brother. Really, really good season so far.
I don't know. Any insight? That effective. I watched them. I said a couple of times, and I feel like they play the Leicester way of playing football, which is like they don't hold position that much. They don't create a lot, but when it comes in front of the goal, it's a goal. And they defend strong. They don't score a lot, but they can win 1-0, 2-1, 2-0. And I feel like some of the teams in Germany are realizing that we don't have to play the progressive football to win the games. We don't have to play the Dortmund way. We don't have to play the Bayern Leverkusen and Bayern Munich way to win football games. We can just play the regular 90s, 2000 football, end to end, maybe defend when we need to, counter attack. They are playing to their strength. They have no superstars, and they're playing to their strength, and it looks like it's working. While Bayern Munich, as we see, Bayern Munich is either they win 3-0 or they lose the game. There is no in between. There is no 1-0. There is no 1-0. It's either I win this game fair and square, destroy you, or I'm not winning the game at all. There's no 1-0. And it looks like RB Leipzig actually are doing the same. They aren't playing the same way as before. They are playing a very effective way of football. And it looks like it's working in the Bundesliga.
You know what I like the most as well is that it's so open in Germany that teams like Union Berlin, even if they don't win the league, they pretty much are solidified to play Champions League football next season. Could you imagine? They came up from the second Bundesliga 2 seasons ago, and within 2 years they're playing Champions League football. That would be massive.
I don't think they'll do it. I don't think they'll do it, man.
Ooh. Yeah, because anything can change.
And Frankfurt.
Yeah, there's not a lot of points separating them, so it could still. There's a lot of things that could still happen. So
it could go tits up, as they say, man. But it could. They've done so brilliant. Big up Grizz, my Leighton brother. Okay, Laszlo, of course, Leighton, born and bred myself as well, man. Adelaide Road are the streets. Oh, wicked! I love that. Big up yourself, man. Adelaide Road, right opposite. Yeah, man. I used to live there as well. I don't want to give too much away. You know how it is, man.
There's drama going on at Bayern Munich, though.
Well, this is what I was going to say. From
Neuer.
From Union Berlin to of No Stars and all of that business to FC Hollywood, we say. The highlight of this game was the Musiala goal. Obviously, guys, if you didn't see it, go and check it out. Musiala is a delight to watch. He puts, oh man. But Aaron, talk to us, man. What's going on at FC Bayern now? More drama.
Yeah, more drama. This time it's Manuel Neuer, someone you wouldn't expect drama from because he's always a quiet guy. He's always been a quiet guy, never really been involved in, drama or whatever
Controversy.
It is. Controversy, exactly. Thanks. And this time of year is because the goalkeeping coach, Toni Tapalovic, got sacked. He got sacked because he was seen as the mole, because there was a lot of information being leaked out of the Bayern Munich dressing room, especially after, some of the losses before the World Cup, the free draws now in January. He was seen as the mole, and internally things have been sorted out, and it just came out one day that, he got sacked. Now, Neuer obviously is a very, very good friend of Tapalovic. They've been working together for over a decade now because Tapalovic has been at Bayern for a long time. Obviously, he was fuming, so he publicly did an interview with, I can't remember what news outlet, but he did an interview and publicly blasted the Bayern hierarchy. And if there's one thing that you don't do as a player, is publicly go against your owners, especially at Bayern Munich. Oliver Kahn, put on in Oliver Kahn fashion, blasted back at Neuer publicly as well. And Tapalovic got sacked, and today they hired a new goalkeeping coach. I think he's coming from Hoffenheim, if I'm not mistaken. And now Kimmich has been thrown into the mix because there was talks of Kimmich being the new captain. Now, Kimmich and Neuer obviously played together in the national team, so Kimmich didn't want no issues. So internally, I think they sorted something out. I don't know what it is, but it is said that the relationship between Neuer and Nagelsmann is breaking as well.
That's a
Neuer,
tricky one. That's a
Neuer,
tricky one because Neuer's like not Mr. Bayern, but he's a prominent, significant member of that team, right?
Yes,
and it makes it awkward for the board, like how they deal with this.
But I think they've been meaning to move him on anyway, in my opinion.
Okay.
The fact that they went out and actually, because I thought they were going to loan a keeper, but the fact that they went out and bought Jan Sommer, to me, told me they're trying to replace him step by step because they are looking to the future. And yeah, it is weird, man, because obviously Neuer he's loved at Bayern. And I remember back in 2009 when the rumors came about that he was leaving Schalke to go to Bayern. And I remember that game very, very well. Bayern played Schalke at home. And I promise you, every single Bayern fan was in the stands with a little card holding it up saying, "No Neuer," in Bavarian, in German dialects. They all held it up and he was just there looking at it all thinking,
wow.
I remember this game. I don't think he's Bayern through and through, actually.
He's
Manuel
not.
Neuer.
He's not a Schalke guy.
Manuel
He's
Neuer,
Schalke
when
guy,
he
yeah.
leaves, he's not gonna be like the Oliver Kahns, like the Salah Hamazic. He's not gonna be like these guys. He's not.
Yeah,
exactly. So
I think he made a mistake, to be honest. He's 36. His career is taking a dip a little bit in the last year or two.
Injuries have killed him, innit?
Injury. Sommer is 34. We just have to remember Sommer is not the goalkeeper for the future. They are still looking for a goalkeeper, but it looks like this is the end of the road for Manuel Neuer. This season is going to be his last.
Before we move on from the Bundesliga, and actually we're going to give Bilal a chance to speak about his beloved Dortmund because he thinks he's hyped again. He's excited again. But Nagelsmann, Aaron, he seems to be quite a bit of a personality, strong-minded, falling out with Lewandowski, as Iso says, last season. Is he causing a few ruffles? I know there was a bit of turbulence after the 3 draws, but obviously, I guess it depends on the Champions League in terms of his future and whatnot. Is it stable?
I think his future is very stable. The board are fully trusted him. I think they'll give him, this is the 2nd season now. I think they'll give him another one to see what he can or can't win. And then they'll probably make a decision. But the board is fully behind him. I mean, they've just backed him with Joao Cancelo, for God's sake. So, I mean, if that's not back in, then I don't know.
Well, how the hell, Yak? How the hell have Man City let a player of the quality and class of Cancelo go to a Champions League direct rival, apparently free? Like, they're not even paying a loan fee for him.
Oh, wow.
And now they're not. And now it's ended up, right, that, guys, tell me if I'm wrong or if you disagree. I think Bayern Munich have possibly got the best pair of fullbacks in Europe, attacking fullbacks of the modern game, in Davis and Cancelo. How has this happened? Like, is this naivety from Man City? And obviously, it's a win-win for Bayern, right?
I think there's something going on at City. I'm not particularly sure whether it's like fallings out or anything like that, but I think Pep is well aware that the rebuild's got to come pretty quickly because he's not going to. I think both City and Liverpool have realised this. The other teams aren't going to afford us the 2 seasons just to get back and get. It's all right, boys. Don't worry. We'll get back to the top. It's our place. It ain't going to happen like that. And I think players aren't we're not in the most sort of mentally strong generation of footballers, if you know what I mean. If one thing goes wrong, it's 1 out, it's all dramas, rah. And I don't think Pep's the kind of guy that's going to wait around for stuff like that to sort out. It's just like, okay, you want to go, see you later, sweet. I'll find someone else to play. Don't worry, I'm the guy. Which I kind of commend, but like you say, Cancelo's not like, he's not a nobody. Do you know what I mean? He's one of the best right backs about, man. Full
Well,
stop.
fullbacks, exactly. I think he's actually even
Grizz,
better at left back. You're gone.
Sorry to cut you off, bro. If you could just please allow me to share my screen. I think I found a picture of what the Bayern fans did when Neuer played for Schalke.
Do it, man. Do it. How'd you do it? Do it, man. Bilal, how does he do it?
He can do it. Like,
it should
easy.
be.
Just present.
Yeah.
See, it says present.
There it is.
There you go.
What is this? Oh, is this
The Neuer stuff?
Oh my God.
That's mad. And he signed for them.
These were the signs that people were holding up, and that says it's in Bavarian, Kein Neuer, which means no Neuer. They did not want him at all.
Oh.
Yeah, they didn't want. Now imagine 80,000 of them.
Imagine walking out to that. You'd be like, like, what?
He walked out for what's it called?
He
walked out to warm up. It was a nightmare. As soon as he walked out,
I remember that game.
dudes everywhere. It was crazy. That was the most hostile Bayern fans have ever been to anyone.
That's the season Schalke went to the semi-final of the Champions League, and Bayern went out to Inter in the round of 16, 2011.
Yes, that's it. That's the one. Yeah, that was crazy.
I was going to ask, what happened to that Alexander? What's his name? Newbell from Schalke. The new Neuer.
He's on loan at Monaco at the moment. He was actually meant to come back when Neuer broke his foot, but internally, they spoke to Alexander Newbell, and he was like, "Well, if it's just to bring me back for 6 months and I'm on the bench again for the start of the season, I don't want to come back." And his manager at Monaco actually rates him as well, Philippe Clement. He likes him a lot. They're doing quite okay in the league. So yeah, he opted to stay. And he actually, took a few digs at Bayern as well for the sacking of the ex goalkeeping coach, because they're quite close as well.
But this Cancelo move is wild, man. Like, that's a strange one. Do you think, guys, they will take up that option of buying?
Yeah, you know why?
I don't think so. I actually don't think so. It's too much. 70 million.
Maybe the money.
Bayern don't do that, right?
They don't.
I don't think Fernandes, how much was he? 80 million? You never know, man. Sometimes if they want the player, and Nagelsmann seems to have so much power at Bayern.
Yeah,
he seems to be.
He's definitely a Nagelsmann type player, 100%. In terms of Nagelsmann, quite inventive, isn't he? And he likes his attacking players coming from everywhere, all sorts of and this enables sort of Kimmich to, and Pavard obviously as well. There was rumors of Pavard having a last-minute bid on transfer deadline, and they kept him. So I don't know. This has strengthened Bayern, man, massively. I think, man. I think it's a wild move. But as you guys are saying, Pep had to do it. Bilal, your team rising up since I cussed the shit out of them, and they had that mad result at home, 4 wins in a row. Your team, Dortmund, coming back into it, happy, proud, justified.
Yeah, Dortmund. You know what it is? They've come back from this obviously long break obviously they've had in Germany, and whenever you watch them play, they've not been great. They've been just scamming wins, but somehow they're just winning. You're watching the game like last-minute goals. And it's like, okay, fair enough. At least you're getting points now, because there's a point for Dortmund where, they will play bad, but they would not win the game. And at least now we're seeing a bit of a difference. But the main difference now was the last match against Freiburg. And that game was key. 5-1, right? 5-1 win. And when you think back to that first game they played against Freiburg, and it was a very cagey affair. Their manager's got this 4-4-2 going on, like an old type of Everton, David Moyes team had them set up there. But then you fast forward to this game now, and you see the freedom that they're playing with. Haller's back; he scored, I think, the 3rd goal. Julian Brandt, one of my favorite players. I'm not going to lie. In terms of just technical ability, Julian Brandt has to be one of the most fun players to watch, scoring an absolute beautiful goal. Gio Reyna as well, getting in the goals as well. Things are looking good. Adeyemi getting in the goals as well. So it's looking really positive now, at Dortmund. And if they can just keep this up, start playing a little bit better, listen, you never know what they could do, because I watch Bayern Munich, and if we just go back to the game against Frankfurt, and I know tactically there was no Goretzka in that game, and they were playing this sort of that inverted fullback thing, but really it was just Kimmich in midfield. It was Kimmich, and 4 up front, we hope for the best. Yeah, obviously Frankfurt, you can't be doing that against them when they've got the likes of Moani, Lindstrom, all of these sort of players that can really hurt them on the counter. But with Dortmund, I'm looking at them now, and I don't know. Like it's not far fetched for this Dortmund team. You look at that goalkeeper Kobel. You look at the centre backs, the fullbacks. Okay, they're not the greatest. Guerrero is a good player. Marius Wolf is someone I actually like. He's athletic. He's a good player. Bellingham in the middle. We know how much Grizz you rate him. If they can just get things working, Sebastian Haller's back. You never know what they could do this season. It's so tight, and with Bayern not being Bayern, like in terms of the dominant force, drawing 3 games in a row at one point, right? Which was like the first time since like 86 or something. I'm just 70, so I don't even know what year, but it was a long time ago, right? I don't know. Things are looking good, but let's just see how they keep doing. The game against Freiburg, as I said, was the first time I looked at them like, okay, Dortmund are really playing. Got a win today as well, I believe, against them. Bochum 2-1, Royce winner. So it's one of those ones. Let's see how they keep going. They've got a lot of young players and 3 points behind Bayern Munich. What more? It's a perfect start coming back for them.
It is. There's a couple of strikers or a few strikers I wanted to touch on today. Of course, the one that we want to speak about in terms of Dortmund is what a story. Hey, what a comeback from Sebastian Haller. Big him up every single time, and that's some story. But obviously, people want to speak about the sensation, the French sensation that's playing in the Bundesliga right now, guys. And wow, apparently figures of 75, 80 million for what's his first name? Mwani, something
Randall.
Mwani. You know?
Randall.
Randall Mwani. Anybody want to speak on this guy, where he's come from? He's made a sensational start.
I really rate him. I said when he joined Frankfurt initially, I said I think this guy's gonna work with Kamada and Lindstrom especially. But I don't like. It's hard because when you've bigged the player up, you sort of feel a duty to then be like, yeah, they're worth this much. Blah blah blah. I said it. I told you. But that sort of price is so stupid for a season. Like it just is. Like I really rate him. I really like him. I'd have loved Liverpool to have signed him. I'd love him to go to Rome or Marseille, any team that I love. But talking like 75 mil upwards for a good season, and I'm not to be like disrespectful, but the Bundesliga is just like any other league. You can have, if you're a great player, you can have a good season. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be the number 9 for one of the best 5-10 clubs in the world. I'm a little bit. You see, you compare like him to even Osimhen's now. I know we'll get into him, but his CV is looking longer and longer and longer. Kall Mwani's is still a paragraph. So I think Frankfurt should relax a little bit.
Well,
will they relax, guys?
If Darwin Núñez goes for 80 million, if Pepe one season goes to Arsenal 4 years ago for 70 million, what stops Frankfurt from asking for 70 million? If Enzo Fernandez, who nobody heard about him 1 year ago, goes for 106 million pounds, why Eintracht Frankfurt are not allowed to ask for 70, 80 million euros? Of course they are. One of the hottest prospects in Europe right now. Mm-hmm. I think actually 70 million is too little for him.
Oh, really?
I was going to say how much did
perspective? I agree on that. Yeah.
I was just going to ask quickly, how much did they sell Frankfurt sold Luka Jovic for? Because I think that would be a good barometer. 40? It was 40 million.
It might be more. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's say it was 40 million. Add a bit of inflation to that World Cup hype. The way he's playing with a lot of arrogance, right? You watch him play, the way he stood up I think it was Upamecano for the goal, right? Like the other day. It's just unbelievable. You just see the way he's carrying the ball, like he's a proper 9. And you're just like, that is rare in football right now. So he's 24 years old, I believe. If they ask for 70 million, 80 million in this market, I'm sorry, there's not many number 9s about. And I feel like there would be a team willing to pay it. You know, there would be a Man United. If they can't get an Osimhen or Vlahovic, you never know. Maybe they go and pivot and they go and just spend the money on him.
I do actually think there is, between now and say 3-4 years' time, I think that kind of 9 is going to become a lot more common. I think in academies now that a lot of teams have got like big, strong, quick, good on the ball, good at heading strikers. It will be on vogue in a few years. So whoever buys Kall Mwani, Liverpool with Núñez, we might look back and think, yeah, we overpaid because at that time it was rare. But in 2 years' time, there's going to be a whole bunch of 18, 19-year-olds that play like that.
I see him. I'm not sure if someone can correct. I see him actually going to Real Madrid in the next
Yeah.
year, just the
Yeah.
next year. I've read in Marca that they are looking at him and they're actually trying to talk with Frankfurt about him.
Imagine
Wow.
him in the front three with Rodrigo and Vinicius, man. Whoa.
Well, this is what I mean. How do you say this name? Cratch.
Guess your guess is as good as mine.
He says Moani is a complete striker. Great link-up play, hold-up play, creativity. Yeah, those prices are scary, but the guy shown what he's capable of, man. He does look quite the prospect. How old is he, guys?
24 years old.
Yeah.
Also, Daichi Kamada, another player, free transfer.
Oh, I love him. I love him,
Another
man.
Love the
serious
guy.
player.
He didn't. He wasn't.
Yeah.
He wasn't the standout for Japan in the World Cup. I thought he would have done more, but you can still see the class.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If you know football, you can still
really-
see
yeah.
he's got the class.
Japan didn't really play with the ball that much, obviously.
It's
right?
like
And it was
Brandt,
more
a
wide
bit like
players,
Brandt
good striker.
for me.
Julian Brandt,
that-
yeah.
Yeah, he's one of them. Yeah, not in terms of style, but in terms of just like you just love to watch him. He's just a great player to watch play football.
But yeah, man, that's probably one to keep an eye on. Colin Mwani looks like quite the prospect. We're gonna move on to move on to Mo's area of expertise and Serie A. I cussed into Milan a few weeks ago. Again, I think my curse is working. Whoever I'm cussing has a turnaround in fortunes. Dortmund, Juventus, Inter, Milan derby went very well for you. Obviously is massive for Inzaghi, but Pioli is under huge pressure as a result of that. No more.
They haven't won in 8 games. I think they only had 1 draw in these 8 games. But to be honest with you, I was doing a watch along for the game, and in my lifetime, and I'm old enough to watch great Milan teams back in the days, this is one of the worst Milan starting lineups I've seen in my life.
Bilal, get that lineup up. We need to see that lineup. Bilal, get that lineup up.
Yeah, people talk about the banter era of Milan 2016-17. They still had the Montelivos. They still had good players, and at that time they had a Carlos Bacca, who was a Europa League winner. This lineup, though, they rely so much on Origi. Now Tonali is okay, but Krunic, Messias, Calabria, Gabbia, Kjaer, Kalulu, oh my God, especially Tatarusanu, who is 7.6 is the rating, as you see on the screen. This guy is not a professional goalkeeper. He's not. He's absolutely not a professional goalkeeper.
He made a couple of good saves, man.
He is one of the reasons this team is losing every game.
Really?
He's terrible. He's absolutely terrible. You have no this is not even a championship level team goalkeeper, and it's very strange. But this Milan team, there is no light at the end of the tunnel because the board is in shambles. They don't have any money to do anything, and Rafael Leao is already revolting on the club, so it's not looking great for them. For Inter's side, Lautaro Martinez, I criticize every week, is in the greatest form of his life. After the World Cup, he's scoring every game and scoring braces. Somehow, this guy is scoring goals, and I think it's due to the fact that Lukaku is back in the squad, and this is the dude that terrorized Italy with Antonio Conte. And Lukaku's back; he's playing well. He hasn't scored, but he's playing well, and it looks like everything is going smooth for Inter at the moment. This Empoli blip was just a blip because of Skriniar. It looked like it wasn't because of anything. And it looks like Inter are not going to catch Napoli. 13 points behind is impossible to catch with, less than 18 games left. Nobody's going to catch Napoli. Not the way they are playing football. I think they might win Champions League. It looks like it. But you want to talk about Milan? Very strange the way they play football. They are letting Roma and Lazio into the mix again. Roma. You Grizz criticized Mourinho every time, and now he's third on the table.
But this is what I was going to say before. But this is what I was going to say. I know you praised Lautaro. I agree with you about AC Milan. It's a shambles. When they played Chelsea, I said the same. You know, when they played Chelsea over the 2 legs, and I said this is the worst team. Guys, stop hyping up this Serie A. So I'm going to give Lautaro Martinez I'm not gonna praise him yet. I'm sorry, Mo. I'm gonna call it the Serie A tax. He's playing in one of the it's one of the worst leagues. The standard of the Serie A. Take away, we already know we're gonna talk about them. Take away that certain team and a couple of players in that team that Bilal's got behind him as well. It's trash. Mo just mentioned Roma. Roma are not good. Lazio.
You're gonna make me cry.
No, I'm sorry. I'm
true,
sorry.
so
I know
true.
you're making
it's true. Roma wouldn't be top half of the table probably in the Premier League.
Guys, look at that.
No
hold on. Let's get that.
Sean Dyche's Everton, they will do damage.
Guys, Inter won this derby. I know it's 1-0, but they won it at a stroll. It was so nice for them. But be real, guys. Look at this Inter Milan team. I'm sorry, Mkhitaryan, Çalhanoğlu, Barella. We know Barella.
No, Çalhanoğlu is a very good player. Çalhanoğlu is a top player.
Come on, he's not a top player. He's a good player. He's a journeyman type player, man. He's got great technique on set pieces.
Exactly.
Come on. He's not getting into any big team, man. Dzeko is 45, 46. Oh no, man. One of my favorite strikers of the last decade. Darmian flop at Man United. Aaron, I don't know if you rated him like that while he was at United.
I like Darmian. I like Darmian personally.
But Serbia is like so slow. So Bastoni I rate a lot. Okay, you know this. They look at the level of Milan derbies were known for what? Milan derbies were one of the biggest games, iconic games in Europe. Look at the state of these two teams.
I can't say that there's like about 3-4 players in this Inter team that they're not like Acerbi and Lazio coming to makeshift
Acerbi, man. Have you guys seen Acerbi play football?
But he's got Bastoni and Skriniar next to him.
The thing about it is that he has exactly what Yak said. He has Skriniar and Bastoni, two of the best back three center backs in the world at the moment. So you can't ask for better two center backs around you. And that's Dzeko. Somehow he's too slow, scores goals. And as I said, Olivier Giroud last year scored a lot of goals. And
that's my point. It shows you the standard of Serie A right now when these guys are banging them away. Look at Lukaku can't even get in this team, and Lukaku was trash at Chelsea. Trash.
He's this year he has been very poor, but he's been playing 2 good games with Inter in the last 2 games. But I agree with you. Unless these guys reach a Champions League semi-final or something, I wouldn't say that this. But again, a lot of assets in this Inter team: Onana, Barella, Bastoni.
What a shout! What a shout! What a shout!
I don't know.
Come on, yeah.
I disagree. Of course, I disagree. He's now playing. If you, I don't think you watch, but he's playing really good as a regista role instead of Brozovic. Now, very good. Like his stats, his build-up play from the back has been very, very good. I actually never thought that Hakan Çalhanoğlu is a number 10. He's not. He's just someone who plays in the midfield, connect passes. And again, I was like, to be honest with you, I never liked Mkhitaryan. I thought he's too old to play for Inter, Dzeko. But again, as you said, the level of the league, apart from Napoli, is so poor that still Inter, I look at this lineup, and they should be on maybe more points than this. And just the league 100%. Is just, other than Napoli, is just so weak, to be honest.
Weirdly enough, I'll just say, just quickly, I have a sneaky feeling Napoli and Inter can do well in this Champions League this year, though. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw both of them.
Forget Inter. Don't believe the hype. You're falling for the hype again.
Listen, they got Porto, I think, in the quarterfinal, in the round of 16. They should go to the quarterfinals.
No, I think
Porto. You saw Villarreal. Wasn't Villarreal not get to the semi-final last year?
I think Porto take them out.
Ajax.
I think Porto take them out.
But yeah. I think like we Inter in the big team games against Barcelona, we were a better team in the 180 minutes. We'll see. We'll get onto Barcelona as well. A couple of super chats before actually we're about 20-30 likes away from 200. Get up to 200 likes at least, innit? Like that's bare minimum, innit? Like bare minimum. That's like Serie A, man, bare minimum league. That's what I'm gonna call it, the bare minimum league, man. You know what I mean? Kamada, my hero, says Harty, got that bum Emery out. Yeah,
my legend, Daichi Kamada, my guy. I celebrated when you scored.
Thoughts, Jamrock, super chat. Thoughts on Manu Kone, Ugarte, Kefra and Thuram. Anybody want to speak on them? 3 very, very able midfielders there. Anybody
If they want
got
to
a
fly,
favourite
if
from
they
them?
want to find their way to Anfield, that'd be brilliant. Please, thank you.
I think all 3 of them. I think all 3 of them. I'd take with my eyes
Yeah,
closed.
that'll be on
at
midfield next
Liverpool
season.
right now.
It's got balance.
100%. So Mike, I don't know if you guys want to go. I'll very quickly give my opinion on them. Manu Kone, I don't rate as highly as many others do. Borussia Mönchengladbach, I think he's very physical, very, very good off the ball, very good at interceptions, very good physical type player. I don't really rate him that much on the ball. He's not my favorite out of the 3. Agate is the one that really interests me now. Sporting Lisbon, the Palina replacement, so to speak. Dynamic, powerful, young. He's got that tenacity about him, reads the game, and always looking to play forward. He's my personal favorite. And then Kefren Thuram. He's okay. He's a good player, very good player. Would I take him at Liverpool? Yes. But then I'd probably take Bilal at Liverpool right now. You understand? So that's the state of Liverpool right now. But for me, Agate is the one if I had to choose. I don't know if you guys want to say anything about that.
That's exactly what I'd say. I think Kone and Thuram have got potential to become great midfielders, but I think Agate is the sort of, if you're talking from the perspective of top teams anyway, he's the plug and play guy. Like he's ready, I think.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else want to say anything on these guys?
I haven't seen Ugarte that much, so I need to. Okay. You guys are bigging him up, so I need to go and see what he's about. Manu
watch Lisbon, great team to watch this season.
Yeah,
great team to watch.
I haven't paid attention to Sporting that much, but yeah, if you guys are saying he's good, I'll take your word for it. Manu Kone, also seen him a bit more, and Kefren Thuram. The noises are, man, that this kid is something special. So, and his height, he ticks all the boxes in terms of what you want, in terms of a actual physical midfielder. So. He could be the one. You never know.
AB disagrees with me. He goes, what? Manu Kone is very good technically. No, I mean, look, if you think that, that's no problem.
I think like every professional player is, I think, if you know what I
mean. Yeah, exactly. I think he's basic. He's got the technique, you know, I think it's not I don't think it's his strongest attribute. That's all I'm saying. And the last super chat before we go on to a bit of Napoli chat. Milan fans hyping up Ivan Gazidis. Hold that. Yeah, Bilal, Ivan Gazidis, man. Memories.
Ivan the Terrible, as they say, you know.
Ivan the Terrible. But yeah, look, the only team I rate, and obviously I would say that after they smashed Liverpool to bits, but they smashed everyone to bits. We got our revenge at Anfield. Napoli. I agree with Mo. I think the title, Serie A, is a wrap. Especially after they smashed Juve. I think that was even though Juve are not the greatest right now as well, we didn't even mention Juve. Napoli, Bilal, they're just strength to strength to strength. And that guy, Victor Osimhen. Yeah, you could put me up, man. Because
you got
put him up to talk about Victor Osimhen when he goes to Man United next year.
What? I'm not having it. I'm not even letting Aaron dream about that. I'm not even letting him dream about Victor Osimhen. I'm gonna be fuming if he goes to Man United.
I believe in De Laurentiis. These guys ain't going nowhere. Yeah, give it 5 years. They've got to play 5 years at Napoli. Then they can leave. You never know after they've done their service to the club. But yeah, right now, man, Kvaratskhelia, Osimhen is the best 2 that you can find anywhere. They walk into every single team in world football right now. This is the level these guys are playing at. And I know we're saying the Serie A is not a great league, but when you see greatness, you have to accept it. And me as well. You guys know, especially me, beginning of the season, I'm like, Osimhen, I don't know. I was watching him for Nigeria. I was not impressed. And I'm like, okay, I had that in my mind. But yeah, he's proven me wrong each and every time. So he's an absolute monster player.
Bilal, I got to ask you a question, Bilal. I said on Twitter once that Victor Osimhen, after that Roma game and after the last game, I said he is the best striker in Europe now, the most complete striker.
Yeah.
And I mean it. He is better than everybody. And you know who I mean by this. The robot that scored 25 goals in the Premier League.
Forget that robot.
No. Victor Osimhen on ability is better than Erling Haaland.
I would rather have, I agree. I'd rather have Osimhen. I think the only other striker that debatable obviously is Harry Kane. I would say like Harry Kane obviously Benzema's been having this problem, so I don't know if we can. And Benzema, Lewandowski, I don't want to count them in these conversations anymore because of their age and what they've done. I think Harry Kane, Osimhen, in terms of number 9s, these are the 2 guys you want to have. And I know obviously
The problem
Aaron,
is Harry Kane is not a number 9, Bilal. Not anymore.
Well, I think he's the ultimate number 9.
He's exactly. You play one up
I
front.
want to show off a little bit. I want to show off a little bit.
Yeah.
I want to show off a little bit because everyone's going to say, yeah, everyone knows about Osimhen. Everyone's jumping on the glory trade. Check the date. Check the motherfucking date. November 16, 2021. And I said, Victor Osimhen is dangerous. One of the most dynamic, potent attackers in the world right now. Our scouts are brilliant, as he was one we spotted very early on because we were in for him, Liverpool. And then he moved to Napoli. And I said probably worth 60 million then. Double now?
Napoli paid 8 million, so Napoli are asking for 150 million euros for him.
This guy, I'm telling you, he was a problem from the moment I saw him. Aaron, if you, as a Man United fan, and you guys are looking, because look, I don't know why you you just bought the oak tree for jokes in it, like Weghorst. Like he should be in a forest. You know what I mean? He should be just in a forest somewhere, man, just stuck there like that. But you're obviously looking long-term a striker. Now, Bilal mentioned Harry Kane, who possibly could be on the move. Victor Osimhen, who possibly could be on the move. And we spoke about the other brother, the French one in Germany, Kouani.
Colomwani, sorry.
I don't know if you want to throw another striker in the mix there. They're probably the most 3 sought-after strikers, I guess, in world football outside the Mbappe's whatnot, right?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Who are you going for? Because I think Man United are 100% trying for a big striker this summer. Who are you going for, and what kind of price range?
I think Man United would go for either Osimhen or Harry Kane. I think they would try and go for the season striker.
Who would you doing?
What would I do? I would go for the man in form, Osimhen. I think he's absolutely, he's like, to say he's on fire for me is an understatement. I've seen a couple of highlights, but I'd never watched a full game. And the first full game that I watched was the Roma game. That was the first full game that I watched from of Napoli. Even the Liverpool one, I only caught like the second half in the Champions League. So the Roma game was the first game that I fully watched. And I was like, the first thing that caught my eye was the guy's presence. Like, you know, when someone, like, just by walking, you can tell, oh, this guy is, the way he walks, like, it's broad chest. Do you know what I mean? Very confident. And when he plays, bro, I don't want to compare him to that guy, but it's really giving me shades of Drogba.
Everyone's saying that, yeah.
Yeah, he's really giving me shades of Drogba. Obviously, to get to that level, we'll still have a lot to do, but I think
he's better than Drogba.
Really?
He'll probably end with more goals.
Got way more strings to his bow. I think Marseille Drogba, unreal, but I think Mourinho turned him into a target man. I think.
Yeah.
But, sorry, I know what you mean. Okay.
Yeah, no worries, man. I would definitely go for Osimhen. I think he wouldn't necessarily suit our style of play, but
that's what I'm thinking.
If you're thinking about having a pure goal scorer at number 9 who can do the basics, why not go for Osimhen? But the problem is, like Bilal said, to try and negotiate with De Laurentiis is a nightmare. So, if I think the price tag he put on Osimhen's head is like 120 million euros or something.
Yeah, but if you got that if you got that Arab money, man, what are you saying? You got that Arab money, man.
If that comes in, if that's the type of money we're gonna have, then of course, yeah, why not go in, pay the release clause, whatever you want to do, and get him to Manchester United. But yeah, it's gonna be tough to negotiate with Napoli, man, because obviously they would win the league for the first time in God knows how long. They would want to keep him, obviously, play another season in the Champions League with him up front. Yeah,
he needs to sign a new contract, right? They're saying
it's now or never.
2 years on his contract. It's literally now or never.
Yeah,
I think they will get him to sign Listen, nobody revolts on Napoli. They will sit him on the bench for the rest of his contract, and then
Is that how they operate? Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that how we
nobody
operate?
revolts
Mafia?
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody revolts on Napoli and De Laurentiis.
Oh shit.
Aurelio De Laurentiis is now man to joke around. But anyway, I think he's gonna sell Osimhen for that much money. I don't think he's gonna sell Kvaratskhelia though. I think he's only eyeing to sell one of them, and I think Osimhen has. Yeah. I think Osimhen is worth more in terms of football outside in the world now because of him being a striker, and not a lot of teams do want a winger, and also being Rafael Leao still in Serie A. So I think it's gonna be Osimhen to be sold, and I think it's gonna be an enormous amount of money, like 130 million pounds or something that will break the record of the Premier League and Serie A. So I think it's going to be, if Lukaku went for 105 or 100, I think they're going to be able to sell him for 130 million pounds at least. 100%. But you don't want to see Osimhen in the Premier League, to be honest. I think he's going to tear it apart.
Mm-hmm. Bring him. We need that. We need that. Him versus Haaland. We need this.
That's if Haaland stays, man. That's if Haaland stays.
Ducking. Haaland's ducking. This is what most trying to say.
If I was Man United, stylistically, Harry Kane suits near enough every team. Harry Kane's got the game intelligence to play in most teams. I don't know.
The age factor counts.
I actually agree with you, Grizz. I think Harry Kane suits Man United and Erik ten Hag style much better. He is someone who is involved more in the build-up play and the game. And I think Erik ten Hag wants a striker to get involved more. And I think Harry Kane is guaranteed with Man United to win something now, to be honest. This question, 100%. I saw this question actually.
Well, I'm gonna come to Yak for this question and Bilal. Ash sends in a super chat, says, who would you guys take? Because the talk of the town now is Mitoma, after he destroyed Liverpool and so many other teams in the last month or so. But obviously, Kvaratskhelia is just lit up the whole of Serie A and Europe this season as well. I don't think it's that much of a hard question, or is it? Is it?
There's only one answer to this question, man. Kvara all day. I love Mitoma, but Kvara is like, even the game against Spezia on the weekend. Yeah, I know Napoli scored some lucky goals, but he nearly scored a couple of absolute bangers again every single week. There's Mitoma in terms of ball carrying and stuff. I think you can compare the two, but Mitoma, who I really like, in my opinion, is having a purple patch. Kvara is going to be one of the best players in the world for the next however long. That's my opinion. I think, Kvara all day. I wouldn't blink twice.
Bilal, I think your background picture says it all, but I know you're a massive Mitoma fan. This is a hard question for you.
Yes, and Mitoma is and it isn't, because Mitoma is a great player, and the way he plays football is just like, he sees the game before it's even happening.
I love Mitoma, by the way. I'm not just saying it because he destroyed Liverpool, and I can appreciate it more. Like, you'd think I'd hate him for doing that shit, but you're right. He's a wonderful footballer.
That goal he scored against Liverpool last minute, it's ridiculous. I watched it, I don't know how many times, to see that he planned everything, the touch, coming back inside, and then scoring winner against Bournemouth the other day. It's fantastic. But
that goal against Liverpool was so good that Joe Gomez he bent over for it. He was like, you're too good, man. Go for it.
Do what you gotta do. Joe Gomez was like, do what you gotta do.
I'm yours.
But for me, honestly,
you own me.
Yeah.
I've said it already. You guys, I don't really care. I think Kavicha, Kvaratskhelia, Kvaratskhelia, whatever you want to call him, for me, I think he's the best in his position. And I think, I'm saying it early, if you think, I don't know who you guys think are better, like the Vinicius Juniors, maybe the Marcus Rashford. I think this kid's the truth. And that's the only thing I have to. I watch him and I just think, I look at the great players of the past. He gives me that like Luis Figo vibes when I'm watching him. Like, okay, got a bit of that. And then he's bringing that sort of like old school, that dominance, but then with the new school. I don't know. I just watch him. I just see such a special player. That's why I think this kid's going straight to the top. Whether Napoli can keep him, hopefully, for them for the next few
I think
years.
with
We'll
Mo,
see.
I think I'm with Mo. I think one of them goes this season,
Mhm.
and then they sell the other one. That's how they operate, man. They
I
can't
think
keep.
Varadona's going to be there a little while. I think
You
he's their
reckon
next
mm,
adopted child, as they usually have that
the
guy.
Mertens,
I
the
think,
Insignias?
yeah, go all the way back, and I think he's that guy. And I think because of the club he came from, obviously I do not know the guy personally, but it feels like if you were bought from Georgia, actually it might have been Russia
He came from
on
Russia, yeah,
loan at a
leaving
Georgia club.
Kazan, yeah.
But I think you'd have a little bit of loyalty there, and it's your first big team, and we know what their fan base is like. When they bring you in, and it'd be very hard to leave that situation. I think Osimhen played at Lille, not a huge team, but I think as much as he's rated as highly, I don't think he's going to be the adopted son as much.
Mo, are they going to be able to keep him?
Yeah, for sure. Because I think there's a massive difference between Osimhen and Kvaratskhelia. Instead,
No, but how long?
they're gonna be able to keep him 2-3 seasons, I guess, until
Oh,
as long as they are on the top, Napoli, and
Mhm.
if they win the league this year and they go far in the Champions League, he's gonna be convinced because he already signed a long-term contract with them, and they're gonna enhance that contract. The difference is him as a winger, he knows that his value isn't gonna go down. But Osimhen, if he doesn't score as much goals next year, De Laurentiis knows that the value is going to go down. So he's going to sell Osimhen at the highest, but knows that Kvaratskhelia is just going to stay on the top of the game. As Bilal said, every time he plays football, he's very explosive, but also is very consistent in terms of like the way he plays football. And that shows you that this guy can go for a long time.
That's good.
Napoli running away with Serie A. Who would have thought Juve, Lazio, Roma, the two Milan clubs left in their wake? It's quite a story. It's quite a season for Napoli. Let's see how they do in Europe as well, in the Champions League. They've got Frankfurt, who, by all accounts, are probably one of the weaker teams left in the Champions League. Let's be honest.
It'll be a great game, though.
We can definitely see Napoli winning that one, though. But let's see how it goes. We go to finally La Liga. Look, we spoke about Barcelona at the start of the season, Mo.
You're gonna concede. You're gonna concede.
No, we weren't sure. I wasn't sure how things are gonna pan out. I thought Madrid, are just gonna be the juggernaut that they were. Maybe I was still hurting and smarting from the Champions League defeat, and maybe I overestimated the signings of Tchouaméni and the emergence of what I thought was going to be Camavinga, etc., and Valverde. But obviously, just like Liverpool, Man City, Bayern, PSG, all these big clubs haven't had the most smoothest of seasons because of the World Cup, because a lot of their players are young, so much football last season. But Barcelona have capitalized, right, Mo? Barcelona are in pole position, it looks like, in La Liga.
I think Real Madrid made the biggest mistake in world football by not signing a striker, to be honest, along with Ben. This is one of the biggest mistakes that Real Madrid have ever done. Is like Real Madrid always have backup, and they don't. When Benzema's out, they're really out of their depth going forward. They rely on Rodrigo and Valverde and Vinicius, and they're not enough. It looks like Benzema was the one holding this team together up top. Barcelona, very consistent. It looks like what people don't. If you don't watch Barcelona enough, when I'm watching them all the time, it's their defense who are keeping them in the game. It's not their offense. It's not the Gavis, the Pedris. It's not Ousmane Dembele or Lewandowski. It's actually the defense keeping this team at the top, which is very strange to say about Barcelona that Neymar's the Messi, right? This team is defending like champions. They are really strong in terms of defense, and this is something that nobody expected Xavi to do this. But he's actually doing it very well with this team. To tighten the defense like this, they're not winning by big margins, but they're winning the games. And that's enough for them. Their XG is only 1.9 or something through the season, but they don't concede goals, Grizz. And by the way, if Inter did not knock out Barcelona out of the Champions League and these two crazy games that we saw from Inter, I think Barcelona would have been one of the teams that might be favorites for this champion, especially with everybody dipping.
Dark horses, yeah.
especially with everybody, like even Man City with the problems, Liverpool not in the best form, Real Madrid, Bayern and PSG. I think Barcelona, along with Arsenal and Napoli, the best teams in form in Europe. But because they're not in the Champions League, they aren't getting talked about. Madrid is the one are getting talked about. But Barcelona playing a very different brand of football than the Barcelona we know. Very direct, effective football that it works.
As Eden says, they become more productive, pragmatic team as they actually play more like Real.
Yeah.
You know, and you're right. Who would have thought that? Bilal had the team up the last weekend. I mean, they just put Seville away like they're nothing. Like Seville are a decent team, man. They're not a joke, but I don't know, man. They're looking good again. Arujo and Christensen and Kunde forming a quite as Mo says, quite a formidable partnership at the back.
100%. Like honestly, you watch Barcelona and yeah, it's what in terms of the football, it's not obviously what we expect from Barcelona in terms of beautiful one touch, completely dominating the ball. And I don't think we'll probably never see, you know, the teams of what 2011, 2010.
No, we'll never see that.
We'll never see that again.
We'll never see that again. That was unique.
And the post-Messi era, they have to find their identity again. The only thing holding Barcelona back again is obviously going to be the finances, and that's a different discussion. But in terms of the actual team itself, I'm really impressed now. Even Busquets, normally when he's playing and he's surrounded with the likes of your Pedris and your De Jongs and your Gavis, he's starting to look really, really good. Actually, weirdly enough, I think the injury to Ousmane Dembele might be a blessing in disguise because it's forcing Xavi to play the Gavis and the Pedris and really, you know, trying to control the game when they can. But, you know, one player, just before I even forget about him, that I want to shout out, and it's the guy left back. You see the 9.1 rate, even the statisticians are rating him now, right? Jordi Alba. And it's one of these guys, right? For years, I've been hearing Barcelona fans, get rid of him. He, like, putting him in that bracket of the PKs, like, just get rid of him. He's holding us back, etc., etc. Now, with the likes of, obviously, Balde putting a bit of pressure on him, but with Xavi and Barcelona actually doing something, you can see Jordi Alba getting back to his best. He's so intelligent. And I don't know why we talk about fullbacks all the time. I don't think we talk about Jordi Alba in that light. We talk about, I hear Marcelo shouts, I hear, obviously going back, you hear Roberto Carlos, Ashley Cole, Patrice Evra, but no one talks about Jordi Alba, which for me is mad because I think he's one of the best of his generation. He's an unbelievable left back, and every time he comes on, like he came on, I believe, against Girona the other day, and he completely changed the game. And now against Sevilla, he's showing us, you know, his levels again. So yeah, big him up. But even Rafinha, it's a big chance for him now. Dembele is not in. You're going to play your position every single game. You're going to be that go-to guy out wide who's got a bit of pace, who can do something. Show us what you've got. Lewandowski as well, doing this thing. And the defense, again, very solid. They're keeping the clean sheets. It's looking all good. Araujo, Kunde, he liked to tweet saying he doesn't like playing at right back. But you know what? He's doing a good job there. So keep that up and we'll see how they go.
Yak, any comments on this Barcelona team? Impressed with them, combined with the drop off on Real Madrid. So is it difficult to gauge, because obviously there's been a drop off from Real Madrid. We know that, and I agree with Mo how they've not had a backup to Benzema or brought in a striker. Some people in the chat were saying Haaland was the backup to Benzema.
Haaland, wasn't it Mbappe?
Mbappe was, exactly.
They wanted to sign Gabriel Jesus apparently, Real Madrid, but because of the EU laws in terms of having registration, Ancelotti wanted him, but they couldn't actually register him at all, so they didn't bother.
Bilal, can you get the La Liga table up before we have a look at it? Yak, are we seeing Barcelona come back? Is this the comeback of Barcelona?
Slowly, not right now, but it's definitely left the station, in my opinion. On just piggybacking on the Alba thing, like we forget sometimes, because we've got such an obsession with like pace, power, dribbling ability now. We forget that like having a guy that can create at the wing back position is so important. And just like even the assist he got, like it's nothing insane, but he puts it on the spot. It's not a head down, I've run really far and I'm just going to hit it sideways now across the box. He's got that class. And I think for to blend that in with the youngsters that Barca have got, they're actually in a really good position. Now, you sort of say you don't want the position Liverpool are in, for example. Loads are really young, loads are really old. But I feel like you can have it a good version of that, and I feel like Barcelona have that. They've got the right amount of class and they've got legs around the right players, etc., etc. Like the back three next to Alba is legs and athleticism for days, and it's just Busquets. You've got De Jong, Pedri, Gavi next to you, Lewandowski surrounded by Rafinha, and it's a really good blend. I'm really excited for where they're going, but Madrid, I think. I feel stupid now. Last season, it was so obvious that they were getting beaten in games, and Benzema was just scoring stupid goals. Like no one.
It's almost. Do you know what, Yak? It's almost, and of course, not even close to the dramatic or drastic fall off from Liverpool. Of course, before people start saying, "Oh, allow comparing," but from the Real Madrid standards, there has been a huge drop off. Yeah. And you could see it last season, just like people were saying you could see it in Liverpool last season, scraping, the heritage getting them through, the momentum getting through games, Benzema scoring crazy goals out of nothing, like scoring the most ridiculous finishes. You could see slight cracks in the armor. And like I've said,
you felt stupid saying it though, didn't you? Because I can't say that they're not playing well because they're beating everybody. So it's weird, isn't it?
But that lineup there, guys, I don't know, Bilal, Mo, I don't know, like, is that an intimidating lineup of the Real Madrids that we've seen of the last few seasons there?
You're talking about Inter's lineup. This is Real Madrid. We're not Real Madrid. Real Madrid, the 13-time Champions League winners. They still have Nacho,
I think it's 14.
Asensio, 14, Rodrigo, this goalkeeper I had never heard of before, to be honest. Shifting Camavinga to left back. I think people were hyped when he played 2 good games. It's clearly not his position. It's clearly not his position. The one shining thing for this Real Madrid team is Ceballos. Ceballos has actually been playing very, very well for Real Madrid, which is a surprise because it looked like they gave up on him.
Massive surprise.
Because they gave up on him 2 times, actually. They gave up on him 2 times to loan him out. But again, he was one of the, I think, the young stars who won the Euros with the team, and he was amazing in that team. And then it didn't work for him, and they gave up on him. But now it looks like the kid is playing he's not a kid anymore, playing very, very well. But one of the players that got overhyped last year is Valverde because of his shots, and this year he has been struggling massively.
I was just going to ask you that.
Massively. Every time you watch him, he's struggling. He's struggling with form, and I think he was never the starter for Real Madrid. It was going to be Tchouaméni, Modric, Kroos, and maybe Bellingham if they get him next year, if he doesn't go to Liverpool, depending what happens with Man City and Liverpool. But again, no bench for Real Madrid. Rodrigo playing up top. Grizz, come on, just give me a break. Are you guys thinking that a team can win La Liga with Rodrigo up top? Come on, it doesn't work.
Me and Yak won't speak too much on Real Madrid because we've got them in a couple of weeks' time in the Champions
I just forgot that I should not be jinxing it by talking bad on them.
So I'm going to still big up. Yeah, I'm still going to big up Real Madrid every time. What a club, you know. What a manager! What a club! What a manager! But Bilal, that lineup there, you know, what's your thoughts on it? That's how I'll put it.
Yeah, honestly, you look at Real Madrid right now, and it's like what's happened with Real Madrid is 2 things. One, last season, we know they had a paper-thin squad. And in the Champions League, they were doing miracles. If things weren't going well, Ancelotti would bring on Camavinga and he would absolutely change the game and they'll score a last-minute goal and be like, oh, the eyebrows tactics are working, right? You know? But right now, that's not happening. You watch them play. And I think what's key now is that everyone knows Vinicius is a big threat for Real Madrid. And he is getting targeted. And yes, he's getting targeted off the pitch in the most horrific ways that you can think of. Like, honestly, some of the things that happen to Vinicius is actually gut-wrenching when you see what the Atletico fans, Madrid fans did recently, what you see the Mallorca fans do to him, and what you actually see players do to him on the pitch, and the way they're targeting him,
getting away with it as well.
He's become like the pantomime villain. And I think already this is starting another problem, Real Madrid, because it's happening time and time again, and you don't really see them or even the players or anything really rise up and try to defend him. Only recently, I think I saw Ceballos and a few players try and do something.
Protect him.
But try protect. But really and truly, it's gotten so far. It needs to go above Real Madrid. It to be La Liga. It needs to be the country itself to try and sort out what's going on there. But yeah, I honestly look at this Real Madrid team, and when you have Asensio, the negotiating contract with him, they're saying he's rejecting new contract offers. They're saying he wants 6 million. They're offering him 4.8. He's saying no, missing a penalty. Okay, it can happen. But right now, nothing is going right, and this can only be solved really in the transfer market. This is the only place it can be sold, unless they have some young players they're going to bring and give chances to. The attack needs refreshing. That midfield needs a bit more stardust, I would say. And then again, the defense, the left back position. Okay, we'll see. They've got players there, obviously not available. We'll see what they can do. But right now, things are not looking good, and the style of play is not great. And that's why I wonder, like, what manager the two shows. Ancelotti is not going to last. Well, he'll maybe last at the end of the season, but he's not going to be there next season. So yeah, let's see what they do.
Unless they win the Champions League.
Even if they win the Champions League, listen.
As they do.
Hypothetical. Let's say tomorrow they could find out that Jurgen Klopp was available for whatever reason. He's had enough of Liverpool. Yeah, let's just say, for example, a manager of that quality is about. You think they're going to sit there and just say, Ancelotti, continue until and do whatever you want? The likes of Thomas Tuchel, even the likes of Pochettino, have had talks with Real Madrid in the past. I wouldn't be surprised if they even go down that route, because something needs to change. And with Real Madrid, they don't keep their managers that long anyway. It's a rock and roll club, Galactico FC. Florentino Perez, though, another guy, is he too old? There's another conversation about Real Madrid. Is he out of touch, maybe, in terms of what's happening? Maybe a bit complacent. That they've been doing the Bernabeu. I don't know. The things like in the club itself, are they not focused? They've won, and this is the thing: when you win the Champions League, when you win the Liga, it's hard to go again.
Keep
with
going
the same players,
motivation.
and they've been doing it for years and years and years. So yeah, it's a tough one for them. But this season, La Liga wise, Barcelona, for me, yeah, they're going to win this title, and then we'll see what happens next season. They need to invest, and they need to make sure that the problems that have been there, even last season, talking about getting a forward in, they need to get one in now this summer.
They seem to buy. Go on, yeah.
I was going to say I'm not quite sure who can afford Vinicius Junior with the position he plays in. But you look at, like, I was reading this week about like the actual normal, like, mainstream Spanish media, not like football, Marca, etc. That he's and I don't mean this in a distasteful way, but he's getting the Meghan Markle treatment. It's all he needs to sort his attitude. That it's all his fault. The people are kicking him because he winds them up when he does step overs. It's all his fault. If Madrid don't help him, he will leave.
Yeah.
There's pressure. I've been seeing what the Brazilian outlets and things are saying, right? People's reaction back in his home country, and obviously they're not happy. Yeah, they're saying, listen, he can go to England, he can go to PSG, he can go to Bayern. Why does he?
Look, let's call a spade a spade. La Liga, Spain, very, very racist country.
Yeah, 100%.
Very, very racist people. I'm sorry, I don't want to generalize.
Even regionally, they are like.
Regionally, yeah, exactly. Even regionally, absolutely spot on. So, and you can see it. It's 2023, and there's fucking pricks in the crowd doing some of the shit that are doing, and no one's doing anything about it. Oh yeah, you know, calling it out maybe in an article maybe, but nothing. How is La Liga still letting this happen? We can say what we want, but that kind of shit don't happen in the Premier League.
It's crazy, honestly.
It's unheard of.
Mo, you can tell me. Even Italy's had its problem with racism. I've never seen some of the things that I've seen recently was happening to Vinicius, even out of Italian football.
No, but Italy had some really bad cases.
Yeah, Italy has some bad cases.
England had really bad cases as well. You remember from Chelsea fans as well. But again, but it's different. In Spain, it's like you see half the crowd targeting a player.
Yeah.
Not individuals. In Italy, it's just a little bit of individuals, but for Spain, it's like imagine half the stadium booing you and chanting racist chants against you. I think there has to be a stop from the UEFA against the Spanish Federation.
Well, look. The president of La Liga himself, he said some awful things as well. Someone just reminded us in the chat.
Even the other day when things were happening, Vinicius, I'm seeing El Chiringuito, their big outlets and all of that saying this is Vinicius's fault. He needs to respect our country because he's celebrating his goals. Like little things like that.
Over.
And that just starts the catalyst for all honestly the crazy things we've seen over the last few since the World Cup finished and he's gone back to Spain. It's been ridiculous. From the minute one, it's been
with all this Arab money coming into the Premier League, one of these teams may be able to snare away Vinicius Jr. You never know. That's all I'm saying. You never know because that's where the money's at, the Premier League. And if the guy, look, I think that's a very good point, Bilal. If his Brazilian counterparts and his teammates are telling him in his ear, you don't need to listen to this shit. This is fuckery for you, man. This is like, you can't be playing in a league where you're getting stupid chants at you and no one's backing you and the government's not doing anything about it. La Liga's not doing anything about it. He's right. Pack your bags and go to somewhere where you're going to be loved. Like, imagine he goes to somewhere like a Man City or a Manchester United or Chelsea. He'd be absolutely adored.
Or Liverpool. Could you imagine?
Or Liverpool. And I'm not talking about
as well.
I'm not talking about Liverpool anymore, man. You know what I mean?
Do you
know what I mean?
Newcastle. Could you imagine like what you could do there?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. The money's in the Premier League. We've got a few super chats to finish off with, guys.
Yes to that question. Yes.
Kvara better than Vinny Jr. right now. Serie A hype.
Yes, he is. La Liga is not harder than Serie A, by the way. It's not.
Really?
I agree.
Okay.
Not anymore.
Yeah. Not anymore.
A lot of these teams honestly, like from Atletico Madrid down, I feel like they're all inspired by Simeone. Sometimes I watch the games, I'm just like, you guys watch Simeone too much, man. Because you associate beautiful football with Spain and all this technical, nice passing. But a lot of teams, honestly, you watch them, you're like, mate, these men are dirty, bro.
Harty, who's pretty much sponsored the whole show tonight, man. Big up yourself. He says, I'm hoping Zubimendi says no to Barca and comes Arsenal. Bilal, Zubimendi hype?
Yeah, no, he's a very good player. I think obviously Barca are interested. I think they linked him with Arsenal, but I think Arsenal obviously, if we don't get like a Declan Rice, then obviously he's got a release clause in his contract. We'll see in the summer.
I think you're nailed on for Declan Rice, apparently, from what I've been told and heard as well from a couple of people that I know.
That's the better profile for you as well, Rice, I think.
Yeah, I thought Declan Rice was nailed. I thought he was nailed on for Chelsea, but apparently Arsenal have come up there.
That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear. Take back my slander on Declan Rice. I'm taking it back.
I know you've been slandering all World Cup, man. I remember.
World Cup, yeah.
Ankara Messi. Who's the Ankara Messi?
Ankara
Messi.
He says Barcelona will be better once they're allowed to spend more money.
More than this, my friend. Ankara Messi. More than this. What else do you want?
There is no more.
You signed every single free agent in the world.
They're actually spending money that they haven't got. So you can't beat that. You can't beat that. Like, imagine being able to spend money and you haven't got any.
Yeah, no.
Think about what I just said there.
Yeah, last window.
That's a hustle, man.
Yeah, they're leveraging their future. They signed Rafinha for 60 million, Lewandowski for 50 million. Oh my God! And the Christiansen, Frankessi, come on, Conde. Come on, give me a break. So people are saying Barcelona, they probably were the winners of this transfer market in the last summer.
And we end with Why Always Me, who gives us a whole different perspective to the Valverde chat and reminds us or tells us, informs us, Valverde lost a kid. That's why. I didn't know that. I don't know if you guys knew that.
I didn't.
And if that's true, then it just puts everything into perspective and everything that we've said or had an opinion on in terms of his performance.
Really
So that puts into perspective of what a human being he actually is. That the fact that he's still playing and at the level he's playing and whatnot. So a slight sad way to end. Also a slight sad way to end is, of course, I'm an absolute idiot and a pillock for not giving a shout out to the people of Turkey and Syria, who again are going through absolute hell. Some of the videos and some of the scenes, I'm not gonna lie, guys, I'm a big ass man. I'm a big ass grown ass man. I can take most things. I don't get that emotionally caught up in things throughout my life. I've seen highs and lows, but some of the scenes, some of the pictures, some of the videos, they've killed me, man. They've broken me, man. I can't take it. I can't bear it. Just do whatever you can, people out there. If you can donate, you can donate. If you can pray, you pray. If you can have a positive thought, have a positive thought. But best wishes and prayers and all of that to the people of Turkey and Syria as well, because there's not enough light on the people of Syria. We just don't see it. We're just not seeing it in the media, and it's a horrible, horrible place. The media can be a horrible, horrible place. Just not enough shedding light. So the small platform that I got, I want to make sure that I speak on it. And if it bores people, then fuck you, man. But it's massive for me. It's massive to me. I don't know about you guys. I've seen some of the scenes and it's heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah. Literally before we came on, I was watching reports. Yeah. Go on, Yak.
Yeah, I was going to say my best mate's Turkish, and I was like writing a text out just to say, like, have you seen the news? Let him know that I'm thinking about him and his family and stuff. And I just wrote like an absolute essay. Like, it just like it comes out of you, and
of course it does.
Things like this that remind you that there's nothing anybody could have done about that, and that's the preciousness of life, isn't it? That it comes and goes when you don't know about it in a blink. And yeah, I think it's put a lot of things in perspective for me this week. I've had a lot of stuff going on, and then you look at that and you just think like, man up, man.
It's a different, it's a total different world. Literally, it's a total different world we live in. But guys, thank you very much for your contribution. Mo, of course, coming up late, but being the star of the show again. Thank you very much, Mo. We'll see you next week, of course.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you for the invite and prayers for the people in Turkey and Syria. And people, there is just one thing, Grizz, I just wanted to, there's a lot of organizations out there that if you want to donate, even, I'm not going to tell you how much to donate, but even old clothes and stuff, because people are literally homeless in Turkey, and Syria. They lost everything. So if you want to find out in your local area, someone is collecting donations, even clothes or anything old you don't use, make sure to reach out, because these people need your help. So thank you so much, Grizz, for the shout out for these people.
Absolutely. A devastating debut from you. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed it as well. No, in a positive way. Quite the impact, man. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm sure the chat have enjoyed you as well, and we'll hope to get you on again very soon as well, my friend.
Yeah, absolute pleasure, man. Pleasure to meet all of you. It's been great fun, man.
Wicked. Bilal, what we got tomorrow? Tomorrow we got a Liverpool show tomorrow, so you need to just take a seat tomorrow, because you're not involved in the Liverpool chat. We got to worry about Liverpool tomorrow. I think I don't need that stress. I think we might have a preview of the Premier League on Friday. We'll check that out. Yeah, we'll check that out. People in the chat, if you haven't liked the stream, like on your way out. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Yeah, man, another Eurostars. Enjoyed it, man. Went through nicely. We've gone a bit over time today, and because we started a little bit late, but we promised to get on at a normal time very soon. Eurostars, take care. Peace.